Well, ladies and gentlemen, very, very good afternoon. Welcome to the British Dressage National Championships, brought to you by Lemieux and in partnership with our broadcaster friends and partners as well at HNC+. We come to the lunch break, and that means we are going to have some wonderful guests joining us here on the sofa. Delighted to be joined by Tash Baker, Giaconelli, I'm never sure which one to use, and Laura Tomlinson, who I still want to call Beckelsteimer, but Tomlinson's slightly easier. So, ladies, thank you very much for coming to join me. This is a discussion about motherhood, not a topic I know a great deal about, so I'm delighted you two are here to talk about it. And that is what we're going to do, discuss your careers, how life started for you in the dressage world, and then build up to the wonderful children you have and how life has changed, I suppose. So great to have you both, and there's a lot we can say about both of you, but it's probably easier if you both introduce yourselves. Turn it on, Tash. There we are.
It's still not turned on. Am I turned on? Can you hear me? Yes. So I am Tash Baker.
Sometimes Giaconelli.
Technically Giaconelli, but I'm still riding under Baker. And I'm a Paralympian. Paris, I've just got back from a few days ago, was my 4th Paralympic Games. I've won 6 Paralympic golds, 2 silvers, 2 bronzes now. And I had my son last year.
Amazing. And Laura, same question for you.
Hi, I'm Laura Tomlinson. Hello.
We may need to go a bit louder on the microphones.
I'm Laura Tomlinson, and I don't have as many medals as Tash. So I'd rather
But you
not
do have more children, to be fair.
But I have more children. I've got 4 children, and now I can barely string a sentence together anymore because I'm sort of just tired and sort of bedraggled usually.
Your mind's all over the place, isn't it? Horses, children, I don't know how you do it, and that's kind of what I want to understand. But taking it back to your childhood, how do you think the experiences you had when you were growing up have impacted how you've become as mothers? Big question.
Crikey.
There we are. Strike.
Well, I was the 4th of 4 children, and I've had 4 children, so maybe that's got something to do with it. And I had a very free-range childhood, not too much supervision, quite a lot of exploring, and definitely no helicopter parenting in my day. And so I'd say some might call me negligent as a parent. I say I'm sort of teaching my children that same freedom and learning to sort of work out what they can and can't do themselves a little bit.
And in terms of dressage, obviously your dad was huge in the dressage world, what a star he was. Is it always something that you saw yourself doing? Were you forced into it, or was it very natural? You always had that love and thought, maybe this is where I want to go with my career?
No, I didn't grow up loving dressage. I grew up loving horses. I was very into my eventing until my mid-teens, and very keen that that's where I was going to be headed. But annoyingly, I kept leading the dressage and kept getting asked to come to do
you didn't have a
more
choice,
dressage.
Basically.
And it sort of just, as I played a lot of hockey in my teens as well, and I had to sort of keep narrowing down what I was able to put my time to. I went to a pony championships, European championships, age 13, pure dressage. Because at the time my pony that I rode dressage on was a bit more grown up than I had quite a young event pony. I think my parents were playing tactics there. And then came back from that. We'd won a team silver, and I'd done well individually. And after that, I sort of realised that dressage was where I was going to stick with, and sort of that's how it became my thing. It certainly wasn't what I dreamed of when I was little. It was I thought dressage was very boring when I was young.
And Tash, again, same question for you. Your mum's here today with little Joshy. I'm sure we'll get them up on the stage at some point, whether they like it or not. Lorraine looks very nervous sitting there in the corner. Please don't. Again, for you, Tash, childhood, growing up, what was that like for you?
So I actually contracted my disability when I was 14 months old. So I was born able-bodied, had a very normal upbringing, and then obviously after 14 months I spent a lot of time in hospital, a lot of physiotherapy, but my parents have got a very, very positive way of thinking, and I think that has definitely served me well. And similar to Laura, I had a love of horses. My mum used to ride. She used to compete in showing and eventing. And so I just loved being on the family farm, you know, walking outside the front door, seeing horses, being around them all day, every day. But it was actually watching the Sydney Games that totally inspired me. And I said to my parents, a very sassy 10-year-old, that I wanted to win a gold medal one day. And that was it, really. I didn't really know what dressage was before then. I didn't really know what my options were as a disabled child that had a love of horses. And so, yeah, that was it. That was my dream set. But my mum and dad were never pushy. Although I was brought up around the horses, I swam, I played musical instruments really badly, but I gave it a go. And everything just kind of fell away, and riding stuck around. And I was very fortunate to be under the Riding for the Disabled Association, which just helped me tremendously. And they were great because they just understood my disability. The ponies got it, the instructors got it. And so, yeah, it just kind of happened very naturally for me.
And then becoming a mother, they say it changes your perspective on life. So firstly, starting with your career, how has that changed since becoming a mum and on your life in general?
It totally changed my perspective going into Paris. First of all, I didn't know if I'd even get selected for the team. I had quite a quick turnaround. I went into it probably quite naive. I got married in the March 2022, fell pregnant in August, did the World Championships unknowingly pregnant and was an emotional wreck there. And obviously
now it all makes sense.
That makes sense now. And then, yeah, had him in the April. And of course, you know, as an able-bodied person, you don't know how pregnancy is going to go. You don't know how childbirth is going to go. You don't know how coming back's going to go, but throw in a disability just for fun. And I had no idea how my body was going to react to carrying a baby, and how I would react to having a C-section. Obviously, I do sitting trot without stirrups all of the time. So, you know, he cut through all of the layers of my abs getting Joshua out. So I wasn't quite sure whether I would be fit enough and strong enough to come back from that so quickly. But yeah, coming back and getting selected for Paris was amazing. But for me, then the results didn't matter. I just wanted to go out there, do my best and ultimately make him proud. And hopefully in 17, 18 years, he can look back and say, oh, you know, my mum won 2 bronze medals when I was 16 months old.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
And again, Laura, putting the question over to you, but with a slightly different angle, how has motherhood changed your goals in life with the horses? Has it?
To a point. I think your story's just inspired me again a little bit. No, I think perspective changes completely. Took me a little while to bed into being a little bit more of a patient human being, which isn't my strong point, especially, you know, with horses. And when you've reached a certain level, you know, coming back quite well doesn't feel kind of good enough in a way. So for me, it's taken a little bit of time to get my head around that. Actually, for a little while, I've got to change my expectations a little bit and be a little bit fairer on myself as to what I can achieve and what I can do. I can't ride as many horses in the day. I can't dedicate as much time to it. I take the kids to school, I come home, I do what I can in the hours I have at home, and then I go pick them up again. And, you know, I've got one little guy that's not at school yet. Yeah. He's at nursery, but, you know, I know that there will be more time coming my way, but at the moment, you know, it's kids first, and well, kids will always be first, but for now I'm really in the, as my husband calls it, in the trenches. So, my horses are my me time, my time out from that, and they make me feel like just me and not a mum or a wife or something to someone else. I can sort of just have my it's probably what I say for other people, meditation or yoga, is that's the horses for me. So I still very much enjoy it, and I do still have ambitions. I'm a very competitive person, but I'm just trying to enjoy the ride a little bit more for now.
And Tash, how important is me time? How important is it to have that time on the yard to yourself?
I think it's really important to have that balance, because it's full on being a mum, really, really full on, especially when they're so young as well. You know, they are very time consuming and they require a lot of you. So it's really important to be able to have that time to be able to get away from that. And like Laura says, be me or be you. And I'm very lucky that I have an amazing family. So, you know, like Laura, my time is my riding time, and I'm lucky I've just got the one horse to try and fit in. But, my mum is amazing, and she helps me so much fit in everything so she can take him whilst I go and ride or have my nails done, which is a massive luxury. But seriously, like at the early days, washing my hair felt like a luxury. It is wild, and I had no idea quite how difficult that would be, and I don't think anybody can quite prepare you for that before they come along. It's just living it and trying to do your best.
And Laura, horses teach us a lot in many different ways about patience, about everything else. How do you think that what you've learned through horses has really made you the good mother that you are today?
I think the biggest thing is learning to trust people who've grown up around animals are really good at, they can't talk, so we're good at trusting our instincts and understanding signs and just allowing ourselves to trust that. And I think with kids, I've got friends who may be a little bit more city and a little bit less animal orientated, and if the baby farts and sneezes at the same time, it's going to hospital pretty much because something's wrong. And I think as a sort of horsey girl, you kind of go with the flow a little bit more and are maybe a little bit more in tune with trusting your instincts on whether something's right or wrong, and maybe not fretting quite as much over the little details and being able to go with the flow a little bit more. I don't know, maybe that's me generalizing, but that's how I felt anyway.
No, a good idea. And Tash, how do you balance it? I could go ask you this question. What does the average day, and I say average in inverted commas here, what is the average day like being a mum, being a jockey, and everything else in between?
There is no average day. There really, really isn't. I used to have a little bit of routine before I had him, but now that's just gone completely by the wayside, and you just have to roll with it. And I think I'm very lucky, and I sound very much like you in my style of parenting. Like, I just let him crack on. I mean, I think he's had 3 black eyes and however many nosebleeds now. So, they just have to find their own way. And I'm a... No. Nobody call social services, please.
Yeah, it's okay.
He's fine. But I'm a very laid back person, and I think you just have to ride the mother wave because you can't have a routine. You can't get stuck in that way. And I just listen to the cues, like you said. When he looks tired, he goes for a nap, and you just have to follow that and work everything else in around it.
100%. And Laura, obviously you had to make changes to your life. Was there much of a change to your competition schedule, or is it still very much the goal to be the best you can, look to get on those championship teams?
That is very much my goal, but for example, coming into the championships here, literally just over a week ago, 10 days ago, I got back from 2 weeks holiday because that was the only time my husband and I could both combine to go on holiday with the kids. So that wasn't ideal preparation for here. I haven't had a chance to do a little warm-up show, which was very telling yesterday in my Pre-St. George.
Excitable.
Today the horses are the first horse certainly was a little bit better, a little bit more settled. But so I do want to get back to that place, and I'm on the case. But there are times where, if something's got to give, it's usually, as a mum, it's usually whatever we're doing that has to give. Absolutely.
And how do you shift between being that top level athlete and then going back into mum mode? Is it easy? Is there an art to it, or is it just something you've learnt? I think if I'm at a show, it's all about being super organised. So if I have to go, like here, I've left the kids at home and I just super organised, a very detailed plan of exactly which kid needs to have what with them on which day and doing what, and then I know I can relax because I know everything's covered at home, and then it's all good. But I think I'm very good at compartmentalizing and sort of switching in and out of gear mentally. So once I'm on a horse, I can very much forget everything, and for that 45 minutes I can just go into a flow state quite easily. And then as soon as I'm off the horse, I'll be checking in with whatever's going on at home again. So basically you have to juggle it and just make it work is what I've learned from this. Yeah, and I think if you were at a certain level, or any level really, it doesn't really make a difference. If you were a competitive person beforehand and then you have kids, it takes a moment to adjust and go, okay, it can't go the way it used to go because that's not available anymore. So put that to bed and just make a new version that works for you. Yeah. Because
things do have to change, but that doesn't have to be negative. That can also be positive, because now if you have not such a good day at the office, you go back to your house, and much easier to forget and not dwell on that because you haven't got time to think about it once you're back in your home. So I think there's positives and negatives to everything, and it's trying to sort of eke out the positives and not dwell on the negatives.
100%, and it's so true. Challenges, there are so many of them. Tash, for you, if you had to pick the two biggest challenges that you would say between being a mum and a rider, what are the two biggest problems you encounter?
Again, I'm not sure I would really call them problems. I just think, like Laura said, it's kind of not in a negative way, but it's a kind of an end to the life as you knew it before, and the start of a very beautiful new life.
Yeah.
And so I think, days are sometimes really bloody hard.
Yeah.
Sorry for swearing, but they are really bloody hard. But like you said, if they're tough with the kids, you've got the horses. And if it's tough with the horses, then you've got the kids. And so it's just getting that balance right, finding a new normal. I think that for me has been crucial, and really leaning into the support that you've got. They say it takes a village, and I think we're very fortunate being athletes at the level that we've been, in that we're used to being around a big team to get us into the arena to be able to compete at the level that we do. And it's the same, you're just adding in an extra compartment
layer.
And having that extra person as part of your team. And I wasn't a very organised person before having Joshua, but now you have to learn to be organised, and I think that's probably been the hardest thing.
Yeah. And Laura, support systems, Tasha's mentioned it a lot, having her mum, and you mentioned having your husband and everyone on the yard with you. But how is that support team, and how do you build such a key team that you can rely on?
That takes...
Big question.
That takes that takes years. I'm really lucky. I've got an amazing team. When my mum's around, she's very hands-on with the kids, and she was picking them up yesterday from school for us. My husband and I sort of tag team a lot, because he's very much at the sort of in the thick of his career as well. So we're often sort of tag teaming, especially at weekends when we haven't got help. And then also, my yard at home, on Sunday, for example, my 10-year-old daughter's got a one-day event, and our head girl is on duty for that, because I'm here, which is scary for me, because normally I'm with her, but B's gonna take her to the one-day event. So I've got people in various areas of my life that are great at stepping in, and my kids love it as well. It's not always the same person or the same thing going on. If I'm away, they probably think it's quite exciting that they've got different people, and my girls are on the yard helping. And it's sort of it does take a village, but I think the village is what makes it fun. And also, you go through the highs and lows together. If you're having a bad time, you pick each other up, and if you're having a great time, then everyone's celebrating, and it makes it more special.
And are you more nervous riding or being a mum watching?
Being a mum watching.
I knew you were going to say that. Every time you ask a mother that question, I get the same answer without fail.
I've never been a particularly nervous rider, but watching, I now understand how my dad must have felt.
And Tash, advice. You've been there, you've done it, maybe not for so long, not as long as Laura has. What advice would you give to future mothers, people sitting in our audience watching, thinking, I'm a mum, how can I balance it? What advice would you give?
I think we've probably pretty much said it, in having an amazing team around you and throwing yourself into it. Find that new normal, find out how it works for you, because every situation is slightly different. And I think just enjoy the journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tash, and Laura, great to see you. I know you're going to get off, right, but thank you so much for joining us. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Laura Tomlinson for joining us here on the Live Zone, from discussing motherhood to going back to riding. But we're going to continue that conversation, aren't we, Tash?
Yeah.
Tash, strategies as well. Is there anything that you find particularly as useful to be a mum and a rider? Anything specific, or...?
I think Laura hit the nail in the head with organisation and planning. Planning for a show, as anybody will know, just having a packing list and putting everything together. But I mean, leaving for Paris, just It was
chaotic?
chaos. I think it took me probably about a week
Yeah.
to get everything organised, because it's not just for me anymore. It's not just for me and Lottie. It's now for him, and making sure I've got the right toys, making sure I've got enough snacks and everything, and making sure that Mark knows what he's doing.
Most importantly.
That's my husband.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think definitely planning, organisation is just it ramps up to another level when you've got a little one to try and fit in as well.
And how do you relax? How do you find time to relax? What is your one thing that you say, this is when I'm most relaxed?
I mean, once he goes to bed, I pretty much slump on the sofa and pretty much fall asleep. Yeah, I think it's really important, as I've said before, to have a really good work-life balance, and meeting up with mates, going out and having fun. And that looks slightly different now. I think Mark and I have had probably 3 nights out without Joshua in the 16 months that he's been here, but I breastfed. I'm still feeding him, so that is slightly more restrictive. But yeah, I think it's knowing that this phase isn't going to last forever, and finding new ways to have fun, whether that's going out for Sunday lunch instead of going out to a bar on a Saturday night with my mates. Like,
still with a few glasses of wine, I imagine.
Always.
Agreed.
Always.
That is a secret. Wine and gin and tonics, isn't it?
Definitely. It makes me ride better and mother better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is important to have fun, to be able to let your hair down and to enjoy the journey.
And what's the funniest thing that's happened to you since you become a mother? I love these stories.
Oh my
Is there
God.
anything when you just sit there and think, oh my God, I can't believe he's done that, or wow, that was so embarrassing but really quite amusing?
So Mum and I were going out to the Europeans. I think he was 5 months old.
Yeah.
And we were at the airport at the gate, and disability access on planes. Don't get me started on that. So we were waiting for this ambulift to come and get me onto the plane, and he was had him on a baby wearer, and I was like, oh, Mum, I think we may have a toilet incident. And then I suddenly felt it leaking out of the baby carrier, and we had to have a full change of clothes at the gate.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just what you want.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's been plenty of puking and pooing incidents. Lovely. And you just have to kind of get used to that. I mean, they have kind of stopped now. He's a bit older, so I'm very thankful for that.
And Paris, we couldn't have you here and not talk about Paris. Bringing it back to the mother discussion, how special was that for you to finish your test, look over and see Mark and Joshie there on the kiss and cry? What did it mean, truthfully?
It was everything. It really was. Just before I went in for the individual on the first day, Mum always pats me on the leg and says, have fun, good luck and enjoy. And she started welling up, and I was like, oh,
not now.
not now. So I started, and then I came down and went through the chute, and they lowered the ribbon, and straight in front of me was Mark holding Joshua, and I was like, suck it up, Baker, suck it up. You're not allowed to cry now. And yeah, just seeing them there, being my number one supporter. I had a T-shirt made for him.
Nice.
He was wearing his little beret. He looked gorgeous. And yeah, it was just the best feeling in the world having him there. And as I said, I wasn't sure whether I would even get selected for Paris, but I've had an amazing year, and having him there every step of the way has just been the best thing.
And to win a medal, that must have been extra special, surely.
Yeah, 100%. Although he didn't give a crap.
No.
I mean, he can look back on it and be like, that's really cool. But yeah, I mean, it was so funny. Coming out of my team test on the second day, my physio, because he wasn't accredited, my physio grabbed him and brought him backstage. And he saw me, reached out for what I thought was me.
Nope, it was Lottie.
No, it was Lottie. He is absolutely horse obsessed. But yeah, to win a medal, or 2 medals, was just unreal. I didn't imagine that would be a possibility for me. So yeah, absolutely over the moon that he could be there to enjoy that with me.
And London home crowd was special, but talk to us about Versailles. I watched on TV, it looked amazing. What was it like to be in that atmosphere and be there?
Oh, it was unreal. I think especially coming back from Tokyo, where we had no crowd, it was very, very odd.
Yeah.
So to come back and to have that crowd again, I did get told off though.
Oh.
Because I whooped the crowd up after my team test day.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, I'm only competing
Yeah.
here, like, in this opportunity. I don't want that silent waving. Come on. So that was pretty epic. I don't think anything will be the London 2012 crowd. I think, obviously I'm a London girl.
Yeah.
It was competing at home for me. So yeah, nothing will quite compare to that. But I had so many friends and family out there supporting me. Again, all in their supporter t-shirts. The Baker Army, they called themselves.
Love it. What a great name.
And yeah, it was just amazing to do it in front of them, to have that crowd, to have that atmosphere and that backdrop. I mean, that arena.
Incredible.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
And what about having Joanna there? I know obviously you've got some brilliant owners, Christian as well. How special are the owners in our sport?
Oh.
And for you to have Joanna, yes, she's an owner, but to be honest, she's a friend. How important is that?
It is so, so important. We essentially couldn't do our sport without our owners. And, they play such a crucial part of our team. And like you say, Joanna and Christian are so much more than just owners. They're friends and, lifelong friends. And I feel so, so lucky to have them. They've given me like so many opportunities. I can't even thank them enough. Like it's just unreal. Lottie and JP have been my horses of a lifetime, and none of it would have been possible without them too. And yeah, they just bring so much fun as well. And essentially that's what our sport is about. We have to enjoy it. We don't make money from doing what we do. We do what we do because we love it. And they have to invest because they love it.
Yeah.
Because again, the horsepower in para has just gone through the roof.
It's a different sport, isn't it, now, to what it used to be?
It totally is. Like, if I was still competing on JP, there's no way I would have come home with a medal. God love him. He was unreal in his time, but times move on. And the two horses that I was competing against in Tokyo, one was a gold medalist at the Pan Am Games and one was in the finals of the World Young Breeding Championships. So, there was me on our amazing Lottie, but I mean, they were just in another league, the gold and silver medalists.
I think the sport has changed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What does Lottie mean to you? I love this question because every guest I've had, we've spoken about the horses. Because let's be honest, every one of us here watching on the live stream are here because we love horses. If you had to put into words what Lottie means to you, what would you say?
I honestly don't think I can. She don't make me cry. I'm going to try and compose myself
Compose it.
But she's just... Well, we call her Mary Poppins because she is practically perfect in every way.
Yeah.
She is so brave. She is so kind. She loves working hard. Like, I go into the arena and every time I ride her, she just gives me everything that she has. She loves her job. She loved being out in Paris. She loved the attention, but she is the kindest, warmest person. She loves a cuddle. And she's just unreal. The power that she has is unbelievable. And I think that's what makes a para horse extra special, is because they have to have that world-class quality, but they have to have the brain.
And the walk. We discussed this yesterday,
Yeah.
bring you into this conversation. Sorry to jump in.
That's right.
We discussed walk, and all of the para riders said it is the most important pace.
Yeah.
For someone with your experience, why?
Well, in my grade, it makes up 50% of my test. So I need a good walk. I need that relaxation. And again, that's that fine balance between getting the relaxation and the marching, the purpose, the activity, without the tension. And that's a really hard balance to find. And that's where it's so important that these horses have the temperament. And as soon as I got Lottie, I started working with Claire Gallimore and doing the TRT. And that has just, I mean, I wish I'd have known that however many years ago when I had JP, because that would have completely changed him. But, I think it's so, so important to have a horse that can cope with these big atmospheres, and walk is the pace where the tension can show the most. Like, you can get away with it a little bit in trot and canter, but if the horse is worried or nervous, it comes out in the walk. And so having that is absolutely crucial in paras, and actually something when I'm commentating that I get really angry about, because I think it can be so overlooked in able-bodied test.
It's easy marks. You can throw them away like that, and it makes such a difference.
100%. But, seeing a good quality walk, they need to be rewarded.
Yeah. And then looking ahead, what is next for Tash Baker, Giaconelli, whichever one you want to be?
Well, in Tash Giaconelli's world,
Yes.
I am trying to convince my husband that having another baby is a really good idea.
So, Mark, if you're watching on the live stream, you heard it here first.
I'd love another baby. I really want to carry on doing my commentary. I love doing that. I love doing the presenting side of things. Obviously, if I have another baby, that will be me out for a little while. So I think then I just want to see how it goes. I've always had that drive of the next championships. I don't know what's in store for me for LA. As Laura said, having babies, having children changes your life, and I've done really well to be able to juggle having one and going to a Paralympic Games, juggling two and going to another Paralympic Games. We'll have to see, but like Laura, I've still got that drive. I've still got that competitive spirit, so that's not going anywhere. I think we're just going to have to see what life throws at me.
If I said to you now, do you want to be in LA, and you didn't have much time to think, what would your answer be?
In one way or another.
Fair enough. That's a very good answer. You've definitely thought about that. You knew I were going to throw you some questions that you weren't expecting, didn't you?
Either riding or presenting, who knows, but I will be in LA.
And very quickly bringing this back to motherhood, because this is what this discussion was all about. Josh is here watching, and I hope he watches back this interview in years to come. What would you say to him now, and what would you say to him about growing up?
I would love to say to him to follow his dreams and to do whatever makes him happy. That's what I did growing up. I had quite big, ambitious dreams. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't have to be ambitious. I would love for him to be sporty in one way or another, because I think that is so great for kids. Unfortunately, he's looking like he might be horsey.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, he's absolutely obsessed. So I think I'm a little bit screwed.
I was going to say, Mark needs to start saving up, really, doesn't
he? He does. It was going to be cars or horses. Knowing my luck, it'll be both.
Yeah, true.
But, yeah, as long as he has a passion and he follows his dreams, I will be more than happy with whatever path that takes him down. And I just hope he knows that I will be there every step of the way to encourage him and to support him in the same way as my parents have done for me.
Tash, thank you. You're a great mother. It's an honour and a privilege to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the wonderful Tash Baker / Giaconelli. If anybody wants to come and have a chat with Tash, you're most welcome. I think you're going to stay around. And if you'd like to see the medals, which we definitely all want to see, and have a photo, please do come and join us. Don't be shy. We'd love to see you. But that wraps up today's lunchtime session. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions sitting in the audience? If you do, let me know. We can fire a microphone in your direction. But thank you very much for coming to see us.